We've mentioned autogynephilic or AGP men, and it's worth taking a moment to describe who they are, given they play quite a big role in pushing the gender ideology forward. Dr. Ray Blanchard from the University of Toronto coined the phrase autogynephilia in order to distinguish two types of transgender males that he observed in clinical practice. Traditionally, most people think of transgender people as homosexual transsexuals, who transition due to ongoing gender dysphoria, displaying femininity from childhood. But, Blanchard observed, these are not the only males who may look to change their gender. There is a second group known as Autogynephiles, or AGP men. Blanchard's studies show that AGP men are heterosexuals, men who typically enjoy traditionally male pursuits or have worked in very masculine occupations such as the military. These men are sexually aroused by both cross-dressing and the very idea of being a woman, fetishizing this notion. Blanchard suggested that there are 4 types of autogynephilia, which AGP males may have individually or in combination, all of them distinct from the homosexual transsexuals that most people may imagine when thinking of trans women. These include transvestic autogynephilia, an arousal to cross-dressing, behavioural autogynephilia, an arousal to the act or fantasy of doing something regarded feminine, behaving as women for sexual gratification. Physiological autogynephilia, which is an arousal to fantasies of having the bodily functions of women, including becoming pregnant or having periods. And anatomic autogynephilia, arousal to the fantasy of having female anatomic features, deriving sexual pleasure from the idea of having female genitals, for example.
What I had said was that there are 2 ideologically different types of male to female transsexualism. They're similar only that they eventually present with a request for sex reassignment surgery, but where they're coming from was very different. And beyond that, I said one type was associated with ordinary homosexuality. You might think of them as like Kinsey Nines. And the other type were associated with an erotic excitement at the idea of being or looking like a female. Something similar to the old concept of fetishistic transvestism, except I made it more general. It contradicted their notion of themselves. They really wanted to go with the woman trapped in a man's body, which often became lesbian trapped in a man's body. They wanted to go with that, and although I never ever said this type of transsexualism is nothing but a sexual fetish, that was how they read what I was saying. What I said was, this is the foundation, the basis. This particular erotic preference gets the ball rolling, but this type of sexual preference, which I called autogynephilia, can result in a gender identity inversion that has much broader ramifications. I know for a fact that many autogynephilic male-to-female transsexuals are not truthful about their history of sexual arousal with cross-dressing. You know this either because they've changed their story when you look at their clinical charts and they said something different 5 years ago from what they're saying now. Sometimes you know it because you get to talk to the wife and the wife gives a picture of what their sex life had been that's totally different from what the patient tells you. As I told you, the circumstances when I invented the word autogynephilia, I thought I was writing for maybe a few hundred people around the world.
Right.
I certainly did not invent the word as a term of reproach. Now I think a lot of trans activists are trying to sell it as a bad word. This is a word that should never be uttered in polite society or anywhere else. But that's the spin that they're trying to put on the word because they actually want to obliterate the concept from public awareness. They're not concerned about what word is applied, and I think they're only secondarily concerned about what stigma is attached to it because they're basically the ones who are connecting it with stigma. I think they don't want the concept to exist. They don't want people to think about it.